Organizing submissions effectively is key to a smooth conference workflow. With PeerSubmit, you can create submission tracks and design forms to collect the exact information you need from authors. First, log in to your PeerSubmit account. Once logged in, you will be redirected to the dashboard. From the dashboard, click on View Conference, and then select the conference you want to configure. Now click on CFP Settings, and then select Submission Settings to update the submission details. CFP stands for Call for Papers, where we configure how authors will submit papers and how the review process will work. Here we can configure the submission timeline and review workflow for the conference. On top we have start and end date and time. This is the date and time when authors can start submitting their papers. And final deadline for paper submissions. We can also define the review deadline. This is the last date by which reviewers must complete their reviews and submit their evaluation. We also assignment mode settings. Here you can choose how reviewers will be assigned to submissions. There are two options available. AI-powered assignment. PeerSubmit can automatically recommend the most suitable reviewers for a paper based on research topics and expertise. Manual selection. In this option, the program chair or organizers manually assign reviewers to submissions. We can configure the blindness settings, which defines how identities are hidden during the review process. Single blind review. Reviewers can see the author names, but authors cannot see the reviewers. Double blind review. Neither the authors nor the reviewers can see each other's identities. This is commonly used to reduce bias in the review process. Open review. Both author and reviewer identities are visible to everyone involved in the review. Finally, we can define the submission limit. This sets the maximum number of submissions allowed for the conference. To configure tracks, click on Tracks and Topics. Submission tracks help organizers categorize papers based on research topics or subject areas within the conference. Click on Add Track to create a new track. Enter the required details for the track. You can also add track tags, which represent keywords related to the track. These tags help the system better identify the research area of submissions and can also assist in matching papers with suitable reviewers. You can create multiple tracks depending on the scope of the conference. Let's move to submission forms. The submission form defines what information authors must provide when submitting their papers. The submission form is organized into 3 simple steps, making the submission process clear and structured for authors. The first step is author information. In this step, the system collects the standard details for each author involved in the submission. By default, PeerSubmit collects the following author details: first and last name, email address, affiliation and designation. These details help identify the primary author and co-authors associated with the paper. If you need to collect additional information about authors, you can also create a custom questionnaire and include it in this section. Let's collect additional information about the authors, such as their department and country. To do this, click on Create New Questionnaire Form, and click on Add Form. Fill in the basic form details such as form name, form description in short. Once all the details are entered, click Create Form. Now that the form has been created, the next step is to add questions to the form. In PeerSubmit, you can create questions in 2 ways: either import fields from the predefined field library or create custom fields manually. For this demo, we will import fields from the predefined field library. Now that we have created the author details form, let's attach it to the submission form. Go back to the submission form section. Here, you can select the custom questionnaire form that we created earlier. From the drop-down list, select Author Details Form. Now this custom form will become part of the author submission process. Let's preview the submission process to see how everything looks for authors. At the beginning, Authors will first see the track selection option. Here they can choose the appropriate track for their paper. After selecting the track, the author will move to step 1, that is author details. Here authors will see the standard author fields. Also, they will see the 2 additional fields that we created earlier in the custom form. Let's go back to the submission forms section to configure the next steps of the submission process. We have step 2, additional information. This step is optional and is not mandatory for the submission process. If you want to collect any additional details related to the submission, such as panel name, session preference, special requirements, or any information, you can create a custom questionnaire form similar to the one we created earlier for author details and then attach that form here. Step 3. Submission information. This is the final step of the submission form, where the core details of the research paper are collected. By default, PeerSubmit collects the standard information such as title, abstract, and keywords along with abstract file. In this we also have keywords configuration. Here you can decide how authors will provide keywords for their submission. There are 2 options available. Allow authors to enter their own keywords, where authors can freely enter keywords related to their research. Or use predefined keywords, where organizers define a list of keywords, and authors must select keywords from that predefined list. Now let's move to evaluation forms. Evaluation forms define how reviewers will evaluate submitted papers during the peer review process. First, we have the review form. This form collects the standard review information from reviewers for each submission. By default, PeerSubmit includes the following fields: overall rating, confidential comments to the program chair, comments to the author, additional notes or justification. If you would like to collect your own review criteria, you can create a custom questionnaire form. To do this, click on Create New Questionnaire Form here, and create a form with the specific evaluation questions you want reviewers to answer. Once this custom form is selected, the default review parameters will be removed, and only your custom review criteria will be visible to reviewers. This allows conference organizers to design evaluation forms tailored to their conference review guidelines. Next, we have the acceptance decision form and the rejection decision form. These forms are used by the program chair or organizers when making the final decision on a submission after the review process is completed. If needed, you can also customize this form by adding additional fields or questions using a custom questionnaire form. Next, we have the program chair section. Program chairs play an important role in the conference workflow. They are responsible for overseeing the review process and making final decisions on submissions. In this section, you can add program chairs for the conference. Simply click Add Program Chair and enter the required details such as name, email address, affiliation or organization. Once added, the program chair will receive an invitation and will be able to access the conference management panel. Next, we have the reviewers section. Reviewers are responsible for evaluating submitted papers and providing feedback based on the review criteria defined earlier. They play a crucial role in maintaining the academic quality and integrity of the conference. Click on Add Reviewer and enter the reviewer's details such as name, email address, affiliation or organization, areas of expertise or research interests. Providing the reviewer's expertise helps organizers assign the most relevant papers to the appropriate reviewers. At this point, our conference configuration is fully complete. With properly defined tracks and forms, you can ensure submissions are well organized and aligned with your conference requirements. Visit PeerSubmit.com to learn more.